Hello, lovely people. Okay, so I have my I have notes. I have so much to tell you, and the camera's going to keep doing that. So I'll just stay back here, and hopefully it'll stay light. I don't know. Um, the last one was a trip to Charleville. So I think the thing I didn't mention in that is that. No, I didn't, because at the start I was all excited about the offer and signing the contract and everything. All right, so before the trip to Charleville, we found out that the woman who signed the contract had pulled out of the contract. She decided that she wanted to quit her job, so she couldn't afford to get a loan. So that was all over and done with. I freaked out. Like, I cried a lot, but I mean, that's to be expected. it was pretty dark there for a bit, and like, we'd already sort of planned to go to Charleville anyway, and I just basically said, bugger it, let's go anyway. The house could still sell, so if it does, I still want to go and see that house and make sure it's the house I want to buy. So that's why we still went to Charlie anyway, even though at that point I don't think there was any offers on the table or anything. But yeah, after she pulled out, because we'd literally taken it off the market, which was really stupid. We should have just put under contract, under offer or whatever, but it got taken off the internet. It had a sold sign on the out front. This is just going to keep going dark and light. I'm sorry, it's just what it's going to do. It's that kind of day. You'll have to put up with it. So everything had to all be put back online, and the signs had to be put back up, and it was a drama, but it got done, and they did it really quickly. To be fair, the real estate agents here and up in Charlie have all been fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I have no complaints about anyone that I've had to deal with for anything, really. Which is good, because I've had to pull on my big girl pants for all of this stuff. So, so we did that. We got an offer. We did our first open house, and there were 6 people went through, and I think of those there was 5 parties. There was 5 that were interested, 1 that was not. And it sort of just went from there. We did get an offer for $725, and we were like, yep, righto, no worries, we'll take that. We put it back on the market. We originally put it on the market for $790. Right, and then we signed a contract that, I'm so sorry about that going in now. It's just nothing I can do. It is what it is. Sometimes you can see me, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're blessed, sometimes you're not. You figure that one out. It was originally listed at $790. We signed a contract for $755. So when we relisted it, the real estate said, because we're running out of time, because we've only got like a month to sell it, how about we just list it for $755, what you were going to ask for it anyway, and just put urgent on the listing and stuff, and say that it has to be sold by a particular time. And I was fine with that. Sheridan, not so much, but she didn't really have a choice. So So we did that, and we got a lot of people interested at that price, which is understandable. I mean, it was $40,000 is what we originally had it listed for. So the $725 dude was all keen, and then next minute it couldn't be found or anything. So he wasn't answering his phone, he wasn't answering emails and that. So we had another offer for $715, and I just said, just take it. I said, bugger this other dickhead. If him, and he's well aware of the urgency of this, because this is like 3 weeks left. And he's just screwing us around. Whereas these other people were quite keen to get in and do things ASAP. So we said fine, righto. So we went with the 7:15 people. And they, what happened next? What happened next? I'm just looking at my list. They got a building and pest report. Pest report was fine. Building report showed roof issues, which the building report showed before. So the real estate got a roofer in to, this must have been last week. Today's the 1st of July. So this is last week. Yeah, this was last week. This was on Thursday. They said they would, yeah, okay, right. So we'd got to the point, yeah, now I remember where the timeline. Last Thursday, they were supposed to sign the contract. We'd already re-signed the contract. Last Thursday, they were supposed to sign the contract and they didn't. And they said, oh, no, we're a bit worried about that roof and the price of it, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're like, oh, fucking here we go. So the real estate took it upon themselves and got a roofer in to have a look at the roof, and they said it was going to cost between $5,000 and $7,000 to repair or fix, or repair and fix are the same thing. Probably not replace, but I'm pretty sure it was just repair. I don't think the damage is that bad, but anyway, what would I know? I'm not a roofer. So they came back with, okay, well, we want $10,000 off because of the roof. And the real estate said, that's a bit rude. It's only going to cost between $5,000 and $7,000 to fix. How about you just take $6,000 off and come back at $709? So they agreed to that. So that was on Monday. We didn't have to go and re-sign the contract because the page that it's signed and the page that the price is on are two different pages. So that was all fine. Because on the weekend, my sister chucked a wobbly and said that she was not going to go back and sign anything again. That was it. She was over and done with. And if we didn't sell to this particular lady, we weren't selling to anybody. It could go to the mortgage people. So anyway. So I rang her on the Monday and said, you don't have to go and sign anything. The lady from Moree still wants to buy it, but at $709 rather than, hello, see me, hello, I'm here. At $709 rather than $715. And she went, fine, whatever, I don't care. So whatever. So that was on Monday. They were supposed to sign the contract on Tuesday. They did not. At that point, I was panicking. So I contacted Bluestone, who are the people that have Dad's mortgage. Home equity release. It's not a mortgage. I guess it is, maybe. I don't know. But it's technically a home equity release. I contacted them because I thought, well, you know, I'll reach out. Sherida got the shits with me. She didn't want me to do it. She said, you're just poking the bear. And I said, well, burying our heads in the sand is not going to help. We need to make sure that just in case they don't sign the contract until the 1st of July, 1st of August. Did I say it's the 1st of July today? I think I meant it was the 1st of August today. If they signed it on the 1st of August, that wouldn't sort of make it like null and void, you know. Because you know how legal shit is. It's always a drama. So I reached out to them and told them what was going on, that we'd had a contract about ready to be signed, blah, blah, blah. And then they were supposed to have signed the contract on Wednesday, which was the 30th. As far as everybody knew, it had been signed. Got in contact with the conveyancer, got in contact and said, yep, it's been signed and everything. And then I looked at the contract today, funnily enough, and it's actually got the 31st of July on it, but it doesn't matter, it's still the 31st of July. It was just weird that they signed it on the 30th, but it didn't have, but it's got the 31st on it. I think what happened was Oh no, that wouldn't have mattered. No, never mind. Don't worry about that. All right, so that's all that. Yeah, so the contract is signed. It was signed on the 31st. So if the home equity people have a problem with it not happening within 6 months, it's technically happened within 6 months. So I've got in contact with them. They've asked for a bunch of documents, which I have sent. One of those documents happens to be the probate. Now, you might wonder how I could have sent them probate if that has still been going on. Well, it has been going on, and I would upload or not upload, as the case may be. Look, I won't go through it because it'll take like 15 minutes to tell you, and I don't want to spend that much time. Needless to say, in the end, I had to use a different browser. I had to upload about 14 times. Still was wrong. I got to the point where every time I uploaded something, they told me to email them, and it was taking 2 hours rather than 2 weeks. So the last time I uploaded, which of course would make sense because it's like the last place you look for your keys, you always find them. Of course it is, because you don't continue looking for them after you've found them. So it's always the last place you look, right? But yeah, finally got it uploaded. Turns out one of the things wrong was I was uploading the original will rather than a certified copy of the will. So my bad. But we got the grant on Wednesday, so on the 30th. So that's been done. The transfer of title has started. She started that, so we should have that next week. But the grant of probate is enough for everything now. So the equity people wanted Dad's will, the grant of probate, the signed contract, and our IDs to prove who we were. Right, so all that has been sent to them. So that's all taken care of. I haven't said anything. They did in one of their emails say that it had to be paid within 6 months. So I kind of just ignored what they said and just said that it's under contract and that the conveyancer said that you will be paid out of the settlement via PEXA. So we'll see what they say to that. So what's next on my list? All right. So I don't know if I told you, but I have signed the contract on the house at Charleville. I might have told you that. I don't know if I told you that, but I have. Anyway, so bit of a kerfuffle. Went to sign the No, I don't think I did tell you. Went to sign the contract. Originally, I put $18,000 on the deposit because I thought it was 10%, but it turns out that in the country they do things a lot differently. Also in Queensland they do things a lot differently, surprisingly enough. And no, they said 2,000 will be sufficient, and I'm like, righto, sure. Then I went to sign the contract on the 28th. The 28th. So that was only like last week as well, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I'm so confused about everything. So I went to sign the contract, realised I had to pay the deposit when I signed the contract, and I don't have $2,000. So in my panic stations, without even thinking about it, I just rang the conveyancer and said, look, I don't have $2,000. I'm not going to be able to sign the contract. And she said, all right, leave it with me. So I left it with her, and then in the meantime, I'm like racking my brains, like, what could I sell? And I thought, fuck it, for the house, I'll sell the car. So I rang Brie and said, look, do you have a car I can borrow if I sell my car? And she said, what the fuck do you want to sell your car for? So I explained. She said, I can just lend you $2,000 if you can pay me back as quick as possible. I went, yeah, righto, well, I can do that. And so I rang the conveyancer back and said, look, I've managed to borrow $2,000. She said, don't worry about it. She said, they're happy for you to sign without a deposit. I know, right? Like, I mean, seriously? I was stunned. So I've signed a contract with no deposit. So if I don't get, my contract is conditional on the building pass report and getting money from Dad's estate, right? Oh, and finance. Okay, so they're my three conditions. So if I don't get, if something happened and Dad's estate didn't sell, which it has, but if it hadn't, I can get out of that contract and I wouldn't have even lost my deposit because there is no deposit. So how's that? Not that that's going to happen. Yeah. So, and I just have to say on the record that Melissa at Charles Legal Group, oh my God, she's so good. She's so good. I cannot. She's just been so warm and welcoming. Also, Virginia at or don't know what rural. They're Ray White, but I don't think they're Ray White anymore. I think they're like more of a local real estate now or something. They have also, that's the real estate up in Charleville. She's been so nice. Like I rang her yesterday and said, I've got a really silly request. And she said, okay, yeah, no worries, go for it. I said, have you put this sold sign on the for sale sign yet? She goes, no. She said, but when I do, I'll take a photo for you. I said, so I'm not the first person. She said, no. She said, not by a long shot. She said, don't even worry about it. She said, we won't put a sold sign on it until you actually sign the contract and till settlement date anyway. She said, here in Queensland, we don't think a place is sold until money exchanges hands. And I said, well, that makes sense. So I've learnt that lesson. But yeah, I mean, honestly, everyone that I've dealt with has just been really helpful. So yeah. But speaking of the loan, I'm not entirely sure where we were up to the last time I spoke. But I was pre-approved for $104,000, which was conditional on my conditions were I don't know, property valuation, which they're currently doing. I can't remember what the conditions were, but anyway, I had to cancel my step pay because you on your CommBank you can get a step pay. You just use your own money. It's like Afterpay, but from your bank account. But apparently that makes your credit score look bad. I've never used it. I don't even know why I had it. I must have just thought it was a good thing, but I've never used it. So I had to cancel that and prove that I'd cancelled that. I had to tell them who Curtis was because he's on my Medicare card. I had to prove he was over 18. So I did that. I don't know. But anyway, I rang them this morning because I had a few questions like about when the repayments start and that, because I need to know, because I'm paying rent here, I need to know how long I've got between settlement date and when the loan repayments start. So because I can't afford to pay rent and loan repayments, so there's a month, but I also have 2 weeks in advance on here, so I'll actually have 6 weeks where I can, well, I mean, I won't have 6 weeks where I don't have to pay anything. I'll have 2 weeks where I don't have to pay anything, but I've got 2 weeks leeway into, like, if I have to make a loan repayment, then I've still got 2 weeks where I don't have to pay rent, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So basically 6 weeks to get our shit organised, which won't take me that long. I'm far too organised for that. But yeah, I rang the loan people this morning, and we were talking about showing that I had the $76,000 in the bank. That was my last condition that I had to fill, was to show that I had my amount of the deposit of the payment for the house, which was $76,000. And I sort of explained to her, I said, look, I can't show you that until the settlement comes through. I said, but the settlement may be like the day before my pre-approval window ends, which it isn't. Turns out it's 90 days, not 60 days. She said, no, don't worry about that. She said, send me the contract, the signed contract, and the granted probate, which shows that you're the executors of the will. She said, send me the will to show that you're the beneficiaries, I think. She said, it'll be fine. She said, it'll all be done. So, yeah. So I think we're just waiting on the property valuation, and then my loan is approved. So, yay. She also said if I want to settle earlier than the settlement date, they will happily pay, well, because once the loan's approved, it's approved. She said I can access that. Well, I can't, but they can pay that whenever I want. So if settlement on Dad's house happens at the end of this month, which it should, any time after that, I can settle on the house up at Charlie because I'll have my amount of money. She said, so anytime. She said, just let us know. She said, and then we'll get paid straight into PEXA. It's all good. So yeah. So yay. So and that was it. Yeah. That's all my notes on that side. Some of my notes on that side. What else have I got to tell you? We're just going to do this really quick because I'm cooking my lunch out there and they probably need turning over. Soap calc. My soap calc. soapcalc.wickedleegoods.com. Yes, let's assume that's right. Soapcalc.net went down there for a couple of days and everyone freaked out, and now everyone knows about mine. And honestly, the amount of hits it's gotten has absolutely blown my mind. It's been I checked, it was like 1,800 yesterday or the day before, which is like, I mean, I got an email from Hostinger, my hosting company, saying congratulations, you've got over 500 hits. And that was like, I don't know, the start of this week. Today's Friday. It might have been the start of the week. So yeah, so thank you for everyone who is using it. I don't make any money. It's completely free to use. I do have a link to my soap book and to my Buy Me a Coffee. So you don't have to give me any money. However, if you want to learn how to make soap, which would be kind of weird, you'd be going to a soap calc before you want to learn how to make soap. Be weird, but if you want to learn how to make soap, there is a link to my soap book, which is it's pretty much like the soap calc in that it's very zen, it's very laid back, it'll walk you through. Excuse me. And again, there's usually 3. Well, third one's not there. Oh my God, I'm so dark. Yeah, I've got a suntan. Now I'm white again. Now I've got a suntan. Oh my God, I need a suntan. I don't go out in the sun. Yes. So yeah, and if you like the soap calc and just want to chuck a couple bucks my way, there's a link to the Buy Me a Coffee. If you think it's worth $5, you don't have to do it once. You don't have to do it at all. If you don't want to give me any money, you don't have to. Even if you think it's worth it, you still don't have to give me any money. It's not what it's about. I wanted to make a soap calc for a long, long time. Like, I would often see people in the soap group say, I just don't understand how to use soap calc. I wish it was easier to use. I wish it would sort of walk me through, and so I've always wanted to make a soap calculator that would walk you through the steps and make it easier for you. So that's what I've done. I'm currently writing a tutorial on how to use it. It won't be one tutorial because there's too much in it for it to be one tutorial, but I'm just writing a very basic. If you want to just go in and make like your first recipe, you'll just go bang, 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 bang. But then I will also do tutorials on using, like, it's got the option there to use a master batch and also dual lye, adding citric acid and sodium lactate, things like that. So they're like a bit for someone more advanced than a newer soaper. So I will make tutorials for that. I will also make a video tutorial on how to use it as well. You can thank or blame Keely for that, whichever one, because she's going to keep nagging me until I do that. But I thought I'd do the written one first, and then I can use that sort of as my notes to make the video tutorial. But yeah, like just the amount of people that have used it, like thousands, like it was not thousands, it's 1,800 I think, but I was not expecting to get that many hits. Like I just sort of, I don't know, I'm biased, so I can't say how good it is because I'm biased and I think it's freaking fantastic. I mean, it's so nice for me because you can save recipes in it. You just load your recipe and then you can go backwards because you load your recipe on the second page, but you can go backwards and you can change the weight. If you don't want to have citric acid in it, you take that out if you saved it with it. So you can literally load a base recipe and then change anything, which I love. And that sort of was like, that's what I want to do. So yeah, it's turned out really good. It's given me ideas. Like I have this grand idea of making an inventory tool where you would use soap cake as your base, but it would work out like you would go in and you would put your prices, like how much your olive oil cost you to buy and all, and all of that. And it will work out how much it costs to make that soap and, how much your hours cost. And, so I want to do this big thing, but I don't know if I can do the big thing. But that won't happen probably this year. I'm not promising that ever, but I'm certainly not promising it this year because this year... I mean, it's already August now. We are probably going to move sometime in September, I would assume. So, I mean, that only leaves November and December. So, November and December are very much going to be getting settled into the house, learning how to live in the house, learning what I need to change about the house, because I'm not going to have as much money as first expected, because instead of selling the house for $790, we sold it for $709. So that's, $80,000 less than what we were expecting. So that's $40,000 each less than we were going to get. So yeah, instead of still having over $100,000 left, it won't be. But I'm also... there's some things that I want to buy which I'm not going to give up. Like I've got about $1,000 worth of tools I want to buy from Bunnings before we go, purely because the closest Bunnings up there is 6 hours away. And I like the cheap Ozito tools, and I already have some with the batteries, so I would like to continue having battery tools, and I don't see the point in just having one thing with batteries and then all my other things having batteries but not being able to use those batteries when I've already got those batteries. So I'm going to do the whole Ozito range of just tools that I am going to use specifically, and not all of them are cordless. But yeah, things that will be used for DIY, and like I want to get like a multi-tool, and I want to get like a little trim router and stuff like that. So, but I'll be getting all of those. I also have, I don't know, just odds. Like I want to get a new camera. I want to get a DJI camera with some cordless mics and stuff. Just stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to get myself, but I've got the opportunity, so I'm going to take it, And yeah, and like I sort of thought maybe I won't build a shed out the back. I might just build a room underneath the house. As I said to Kurt, what I'm going to do is, instead of doing either of these things, I'm going to price, because I've already got a shed priced, and because Charleville is out in the middle of fucking nowhere, the freight, like the shed's not overly expensive. The shed was about what I expected. I think it's 13,000. This is a big ass shed. This is like a 3-bay shed, right? So skillion roof, one roller door, one sliding door, although I have to supply the sliding door myself, and they're not cheap either. But to get the shed from Brisbane to Charleville is $6,600 in freight. So one, I have to see if there's someone up there, like in Charleville or closer, that does sheds, and then not have to pay that $6,500 in freight. But I also want to price, like building a room downstairs is going to cost me in gyprock, fibre cement sheeting, framing timber, all that sort of stuff. So I need to, like, if that's going to cost me like $2-3 grand, then, you know, maybe I should just say, well, shit, you know, I'll just put it into the shed anyway. And the shed's much, much bigger than just a room under the house, you know. So yeah, so these are the things I'm not going to make any big decisions. The only 100% thing that I'm going to do is put solar on the house. I've got a quote for that. I think it was also about $13,000. So, but that I made the decision on that to put in a really, really big system. It's a 13.3 kilowatt system with no battery, but a 13.3 kilowatt system will feed enough back into the grid that any extra electricity that I do use from the grid shouldn't cost me anything, because I'll have fed enough back in. I will get a battery, and this is the discussion that I did have with the person. He suggested don't get a small battery, wait until you can afford to get a bigger battery, because you only get the concession, not a concession, whatever it's called, the rebate. You only get it once. So there's no point getting that on a little battery when you can get it on a big battery. So I thought that made perfect sense. But I do want to go battery at some point. So, but I mean, you know, and there's also other considerations that come along with it. Like if I build a room under the house, it can run off that solar power. Whereas if I build one out of the shed, there's no power down there. So there's also a sink under the house, which I could have built into my room downstairs. There's no sink down where the shed is. So I would have to run electricity and some sort of piping down to there. So that's also going to be an added cost. So yeah, but there'll be lots of decisions to be made going forward once we live in the house. But I just want to see how I live in the house. Like all I know, like I can have all of the craft stuff in the house. I'll figure that out. I always have. But I can't have the soap and candle stuff in the house. I can't do the smells. So whatever solution that I do for that will happen reasonably quickly. But it'll just be a matter of seeing what that solution is. So there will be lots and lots of DIY come up on the channel. Lots and lots of DIY. Lots. So be prepared for that. I also hope there'll be lots more soap, but my sister has asked me for $500 worth of soap to sell. She's going to have a shop. She's got a industrial shed. I'm pointing that way because they're over there. That she's going to put all her stuff in. She's got two storage sheds full of like vintage fashions and stuff. She's into all that stuff and the races and whatever. It's not for me. I think horse racing is disgusting, but that's just a personal opinion. Yeah, so she's apparently going to sell all her stuff out of her industrial shed, and she's also got, like, you know, those pretty crystals that you hang up in your windows that reflect the sunlight. She's got those wholesale off a lady, so she wanted wholesale soap off me. I said, oh, fine, I don't mind. I love making soap. And she said, yeah, she says, I saw that. She said, I thought you might want to make a bit more. I went, yeah, I can never say no to making soap. So yeah, I get to make more soap. So I've put in an order with Heirloom today for palm, tallow, and coconut, because I had no coconut left and I was using Kofa anyway. I was just about out of palm, which I was trying to run out so I didn't have to move it because it's heavy. And tallow, they've currently got no tallow at Coles. So then I've gone dark again. I was just sit here like this. Do you like my shirt? I wear this all the time. I get a lot of comments on this shirt. Dear. All right, well, that's me. My food's probably burnt. It's been 36 minutes, so it's probably burnt. So that's it. That's all that's happening. I won't put anything else in this video. This will be the end of it. So I'll see you next time. Who knows what it will be. Hopefully I'll take you through a tour of the house as I'm packing up maybe. All right, bye.